I found it in my grandmother's chest of drawers between old letters and a wooden fan. It smelled of incense and sandalwood. At first I thought it was tongs or sort of strange chopsticks, but then I noticed that the tips were perfectly polished, as if they were touching the skin. What could it be? Answer: this is a traditional Asian hair clip, sometimes called hair sticks or bun pins. In this case, a double hairpin, often hand carved from teak or sandalwood, is used to hold high bundles or knots on long hair. This form is especially typical for Vietnamese, Indonesian, and Filipino folk crafts. The leaf ornament symbolizes femininity and connection with nature. Despite the fact that it looks like forceps, such a pair does not separate when used. It is inserted into the hair as a single structure, creating a dense and beautiful knot. I found these wooden pieces in the old storeroom of a kindergarten that closed back in the 90s. They are heavy, smooth, and each button can be removed, but I still don't understand why. There was no packaging, just dust and the smell of varnish. A toy, a training manual, or part of some strange simulator. Answer: these cylindrical Montessori blocks are educational materials for children aged 2.54 years. They are used to develop motor skills, coordination, and size perception. Each cylinder differs in height, width, or both. The child's task is to insert each one into a suitable hole, focusing only on vision. It's part of the Montessori philosophy. Help me do it myself. I found this in the attic of an old house in Baden-Baden. It looks like a miniature pot with a tray and something pickled worm. At first I thought it was a strange incense burner or ashtray, but the smell inside was clearly not tobacco. Answer: this is a German mustard plaster, about the beginning of the 20th century. These mini pots were used to serve mustard to sausages and meat on the table. The object on the side is a decorative miniature of a sausage with a spoon, symbolically hinting at a traditional side dish. Mustard was placed inside a removable cup, and the lid protected it from drying out. The metal was gilded, especially in more bourgeois houses. Such sets were often made by hand and are now valued as collectibles. I found this device in an old 19th century mansion. It looks like a clock, but there are no hands. Inside there are 30 numbered hooks and inscriptions like ladies' entrance and parlor. There is a bell on top. It looks like something electrical, but how did it work? Answer: it's a bell indicator for servants circa the 1880s. Such panels were installed in homes with maintenance personnel. There was a call in every room. Pressing a button or pulling a cord activated a bell and lowered a metal flag next to the desired number. The servants approached the panel by sound and saw where the call came from, for example, from the bathroom or the front room. This device from Levens Electric Co., an 1882 patent, is one of the earliest examples of a home smart alarm system. I saw these strange blue cabinets in an old hospital on a WT ship. It looks like a medical device, but without screens, buttons, or labels. Just a metal box on wheels with ventilation. What is this thing? Answer: these are temperature controllers for the patient's body. Early models of medical devices that were used to heat or cool the patient during operations or treatment. There were special heating or cooling elements inside, and the air was routed through tubes or under a blanket. Such devices were especially important on warships, where the climate could change dramatically, and body temperature control was critical for the survival of the wounded. Modern versions of these devices look much more compact, but the principle of operation remains the same. I found this strange wooden car in an attic in Bavaria. Everything is spinning. There is a mirror, a brush, and some kind of louver with a spring. It looks like a toy or a homemade machine. But why is there a mirror, and why is everything so precisely done? Answer: this is a Bavarian snuff box about the middle of the 20th century. Such a mechanism did not just store tobacco, but shot it directly into the nostrils when a person pressed a lever. A mirror is used to aim correctly, and a brush on the side is used to clean the nose of debris. It was not only functional, but also funny. There were such devices in taverns, and many used them for fun. Today it is a rare ethnographic artifact and a reason to smile. I found this device in an old shed at the cottage. It looks like a medical bag, but with a brass tube. At first I thought it was something from a first aid kit, but the smell inside is pungent, chemical. What is it for anyway? Answer: this is an insecticide powder sprayer. a hand, held device used to treat plants from pests. The pear was squeezed and a fine jet stream of dust came out through the tube, usually with sulfur, boric acid, or other insect repellents. Such devices were popular in the 1930s and 60s, especially in agriculture, where it was necessary to precisely spray powder into hard-to-reach places. I found this strange chain with beads and numbers in the attic of an old tavern. At first I thought it was an ornament or some kind of homemade counting system, but the number of marks in the double line hinted at the game. What is this thing? Answer: this is a mechanical billiard point counter. It was stretched under the ceiling or above the gaming table. Each bead is 1 point. Number tags help you keep track of dozens. The system is dual, for 2 players playing at the same time. When one of the players scored a ball, he simply moved the bead forward. This was especially popular in European billiard halls of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, until wall-mounted scoreboards appeared. I was driving through a small town in Australia and saw this, a huge hull, half buried in the ground. It looks like a UFO crash or something from Star Wars. But there were no signs or guards nearby. He's just lying in a vacant lot. What's it? Answer: these are the remains of the filming ship from the movie Pitch Black with Vin Diesel 2000. The scenes were shot in the vicinity of Coober Pedy, a deserted mining town known for its underground houses and moonscape. After filming, some of the scenery, including this ship, remained right in place and has now become a local landmark. Although the film did not become a mega hit, the object still lies in the same place as a forgotten part of the post-apocalyptic story. In an old Victorian cottage, I found a strange metal funnel mounted directly into the wall. It looks like part of a pipe or alarm system. But why is it next to the door, and why is there a slight hum coming from it? Answer: it is part of the home voice communication tube, popular in Victorian homes. Such systems made it possible to communicate between rooms, for example, between an office and a kitchen, long before telephones. This model is an improved one with a built-in whistle. To start a conversation, the man blew into the funnel. There was a whistle at the other end of the pipe. The maid turned the handle or got up to answer the receiver, and it was time to speak. A metal pipe ran through the entire wall, and the shape of the horn amplified the sound. A real vintage internal connection from the 19th century. I came across this thing in an abandoned industrial area. Everything is rusted, overgrown with vines, but the shape is impressive. Something heavy, with teeth and a huge hinge. It looks like a mechanical mouth. But for what? Answer: this is an alligator cutter, or gator shear, a heavy industrial tool invented in the early 20th century for cutting metal. It works on the principle of an alligator's mouth. The upper jaw drops, presses the metal against the bottom, and cuts it with powerful force. It was used in scrap metal factories and steel workshops, and for recycling old rails, beams, and pipes. Most were driven by steam or belt drive from a common drive in the workshop. Today, such machines have almost disappeared, but this one is a rare surviving example. I saw strange metal hooks on the old door, located around the perimeter. At first I thought it was some kind of homemade latch or fastener, but there were too many such elements, obviously for something else. What is this construction? Answer: this is the Cardinal Toggery Rack, a vintage hanger for shoes, hats, ties, and other clothes installed directly on the door. Such systems were sold in the early 20th century as an additional cabinet on the door. They allowed you to store accessories and shoes without cluttering up the space. The magazine advertisement read, "Makes every door an extra closet, keeps toggery smooth, hats in shape, shoes off floor." These hooks are remnants from that very system. It was considered a fashionable and convenient find for urban apartments in New York and Brooklyn. Now, such specimens are rare and appreciated by interior collectors. While walking through the forest, I came across a strange metal structure. It looks like a gate, but it stands in the middle of a thicket, without fences, without a road, without signs. Why is she here? And why in the forest? Answer: this is a trap enclosure for wild boars, a very common design in the southern United States, especially in Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. Wild pigs are aggressive, invasive animals that destroy farm fields, spread diseases, and compete with local fauna. The trap is set like this. Bait is poured inside. When the whole group of wild boars enters, the gate closes automatically, Mechanically or using a camera and remote control, the pigs stay inside and the hunters then come to remove them. This is a humane and controlled way to regulate the number of harmful species, especially on private land. Through the window of the cell, I noticed a firefighter with some kind of strange device in his hands. He ran it along the door and around the ventilation. It looks like a scanner or reader. But what exactly is he doing? Answer: this is a portable gas analyzer, specifically a sensitive gold G2 type model designed to detect gas leaks, for example, natural or carbon monoxide, in the air. Fire and gas services use such devices when they receive complaints about the smell of gas in a house or apartment. The flexible tube allows you to sniff into hard-to-reach places, ventilation, gas stoves, seams and pipes. The device can indicate the presence of CH4, methane, CO, carbon monoxide, and O2, oxygen, as well as give alarm signals. The check is carried out before entering to avoid explosion or poisoning. Spotted far out in the sea, two strange futuristic structures standing alone on stilts. No signs, no boats, just there. Are they abandoned houses, secret labs, alien beacons? Answer: specifically built for kittiwakes, a type of coastal gull threatened by the rising number of offshore wind turbines in the UK. These platforms offer safe, predator-free spots for the birds to nest, far from human disturbance and danger. They even have artificial ledges to mimic sea cliffs. I found these white ceramic whistles near a pottery kiln. They don't seem to be pipes or tools. What are they? Answer: these are kiln peephole plugs. They're made of ceramic and used to seal the observation holes on pottery kilns. The holes let you peek inside during firing or release heat, oxygen if needed. The plugs help maintain proper temperature and airflow when not in use.